Good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local and national Native news and events, and as you know, Chujunk, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Dega. This portion of the show is supported by Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon.
Hey. What do you got going tonight? I know we're going to be, Wendy and I are going to swing by AM 950's coverage of the great debate and the beatdown on the orange one.
Yeah, no, this presidential debate really holds some like Super Bowl weight to it. I feel like this is kind of what everyone's going to be tuning into this evening. Yeah, I'm excited. I know State Representative Heather Keeler will be joining us later on the second half of the show, but her and I will be heading over to Indigenous-owned Muckwa Coffee in Roseville there in Minnesota, and they're doing a watch party.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Hey, and I'm excited. That's at 8 o'clock, and then we're going to be out there at Crooners, I believe, and so we're excited. And yeah, it is almost like a Super Bowl kind of thing here. We can definitely wear our home team and do things like that. And I see you have your home team on now, right now. It is
I do.
Harris Walls
Harris
t-shirt.
Walls. Yeah, I know. I'm repping my camo Blaze Orange Harris Walls t-shirt that I got from the Minnesota DFL tent at this year's Minnesota State Fair. It was just busy, the whole booth at the DFL tent.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy too. The first 2 days of the fair, of course, were or I should say Thursday was the first and last day of the fair and last day of the DNC, and there were a lot of people watching that live on TV at the DFL. And it's funny, walking around the fair, I saw more shirts for Harris and Walls, and then I saw little fans for Not Walls, and they had a booth out there, which I thought was really interesting because is that all you got? You know, it's
Right.
like it's just like 2 years ago they had a plane going over the state fair saying Not Walls, and I'm just going, really? I mean, through the whole time of the fair they had that, and it was like,
Yeah, I know a lot of
is
people.
that all they have?
A lot of people were throwing them some shade for having that little mini booth out there, but yeah, that's pretty funny.
Well, two, you know that the website Not Walls was not bought by them, so other people bought
Right.
that website, and so when you clicked on it,
Yep.
it said that something about Trump being indicted 34 times, and then a couple seconds later, it went right to their website to donate. So I thought that was pretty funny and awesome.
Pretty smart.
Not a good follow through by the Not Walls people.
Right, exactly.
Well, hey, you know, we got a good show here. We got State Representative Heather Keeler coming on later, but we have right now, I do believe, in the waiting room, we have our friend Ruth. And Ruth Buffalo is the CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center. Welcome, Ruth.
Hi, Dosha, Matsugidads. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you are smudging yourself off here. We always need that, and we appreciate that here. Really good to see you. How are you doing? And I think we can talk a little debate tonight before we get into what you do and how you serve the community in the Minnesota Indian Resource Center in the last 40 years.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. What was the question? No, just kidding.
I don't know if
Tonight.
I had a question. I think I just babbled there for a second. So yeah, you caught me there that time. But yeah, are you excited about tonight?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be interesting to observe. Excuse me, observe.
Yeah, well, we have a prosecutor going against somebody that's a convicted felon, so it should be pretty interesting.
It is interesting, for sure. And it's good to pay attention to what is happening in the world around us, at every level, whether it's the city, municipal level, county level, state level, national level, global level. It's always important because it does impact us, and our daily quality of life for sure is impacted by on all those different levels. And I would say even it's not trying to one up anybody or anything like that, but I think as tribal people of these lands, it's important to pay attention to all these different levels of government.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good point too. We really want to not only pay attention to the president, but we also want to pay attention to all the important elections that are going on, like you just said there, and not just vote for the president, get excited about that, but also support our people running for legislator or senator or whatever across Turtle Island.
Yep, 100%. It's so important. And internationally, yeah, all the different levels. It's so important because it does impact us as Native Americans, American Indians, tribal nations, for sure. And so it's really good to pay attention. And yeah, I caught a little bit of former President Trump's debate this past Saturday, and saw that, and it's just so very interesting. And it's I think it's even more important for each of us as citizens to do our due diligence and fact checking and doing our research, because of the world that we live in today. It's just so important that we take this election cycle important as any other election cycle, but it's deeply important. I mean, I have my children are in different levels of education, and it's important for us to pay attention. I think of my daughter who is 21 years old, and hearing her perspective. She graduated high school during the pandemic, and her worldview is very interesting. And so yeah, it's so important that we listen, especially to the younger people as well as our elders, for sure.
Yeah, there is a different perspective, and just talking to Haley here too, who's on the cusp as a Gen Zer, just listening to her too, and also how engaged and excited she is, Haley, with this coming up, which is a lot different than when Biden was still in the race.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've only voted in a couple presidential elections now, and just growing up and hearing the media coverage from other presidential elections that my parents got to vote in as I was a kid, nothing's ever really compared to this. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest for not only my generation, but everyone so far.
Yes, for sure. And I definitely don't want to speak on behalf of my eldest daughter, but I can share some of her thoughts, openly. She just has a very interesting worldview on the way things are going in today's day and age, and it's not really one of excitement. I mean, she's an artist, but she grew up, just in a different time in the era, and so I'm find myself trying to convince her that it's not that bad. It's not as bad, it'll get better, but she shares openly her grumblings of the way things are going in the world.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we all know with age that the pendulum always goes way left and then way right, and we're in that cycle right now. Hey, we're with Ruth Buffalo, and we're going to be talking more about the Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center up next. So this is Native Roots Radio.
We are your relatives,
We are your relations,
brothers,
sisters,
sons.
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
Homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Discover the emotional depth and vivid storytelling of Jay White's Arikara Proper at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. This solo exhibition celebrates Arikara culture through the lens of an urban Indian perspective. Experience themes of empowerment, depictions of Native women, stars, and star quilts within White's vibrant acrylic paintings. Arikara Proper is showing now through October 5th at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. Get inspired by Jay White's powerful storytelling on canvas. Details at allmyrelationsarts.org.
Hi, Jim of Better Futures Minnesota here. Does your business or organization need janitorial services, lawn care, or snow removal? Obtain a free, no-obligation estimate from Better Futures Minnesota when you let us know that you heard about us on AM 950. Our supervised, hard-working, and affordable crews will handle your interior and exterior building and property maintenance needs while you help men in the community transform their lives and walk on a positive path to success. It's a win-win. To learn more, go to betterfuturesminnesota.com under Business Services.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Yes, they do. And hey, we're here with our friend Ruth Buffalo, and Ruth is the CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, and we are really, time's flown here. We're really happy to have you here in the Twin Cities, and I think it's been 6 months.
Yeah, yes, it has. It has been. Sorry not to be laughing. But yeah, time has flown, and it's been an amazing 6 months, that's for sure. Is my hair all messy? And I feel like it should be like, yeah, it's been an amazing 6 months.
Yeah, with 6 months with no sleep.
Right, and just kind of like eating on the fly when I can. Like I'm just got an apple here, trying to eat more healthier. But
yeah. Well, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I really don't know what that means, but I do remember that as a little kid. So good on you. Oh,
thank you.
Awesome. So, hey, let's switch gears here and talk a little bit about Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, what's happening this week and how we can support your great work. And, you know, we always like to talk a little bit about the organization because people are just chiming in and listening in and checking out what we have to talk about. So let's talk a little bit about it.
Sure. So we're excited to host a community celebration this coming Monday from 4 to 7 p.m. here at Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, which is located in the East Phillips neighborhood, 2300 15th Avenue South in Minneapolis. It will be our 40th anniversary, and so we're inviting the community and the public to come join us in the celebration from 4 to 7 p.m. here at Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center. We're super excited. The staff have been working and planning, and we have a few different community partners that we're so thankful for with their ongoing support. So that's something that is on the docket September 16th from 4 to 7 p.m., celebrating 40 years of existence here in the at Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center.
Ruth, will there be a cakewalk? Because I know there was a cakewalk last time, and I got FOMO on that. I hadn't done a cakewalk since grade school.
There will be cake, but I'm not sure that there will be a cake walk.
And I have an extra large if you are handing out T-shirts with the big 40 on it. So just throw that out there. I don't have enough shirts. Wendy's not here to hear that, is she?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
There will be T-shirts for sure. Yes. 40th anniversary T-shirts, limited edition. I believe first 175 people will receive a T-shirt.
Wow. Well, Haley, we got to do a live broadcast out in the car so we can get in line.
I know. I got to be the first ones there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's talk a little bit about the history. 40 years, and what has Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center meant to our community? I know that, but I'd like you to tell our listeners, and that's why we're so blessed to have you leading the organization here in the last 6 months, even though eating and staying sane has been difficult.
No, it's at the heart of everything. Since I've been here, March 4th, community members from all walks of life have shared stories of resilience and of nurturing and of love that has been emulated through and from MIWRC. And so we're hoping to continue to keep this same movement going, for 7 generations ahead. People have shared stories of being a child in the daycare and they now work here. Family members who have worked here or received services or have lived upstairs in the tenant spaces. And so there's just some rich history, a lot of community, a lot of keeping families together, strengthening family units, just helping our American Indian families thrive. And so that's what we hope to continue pushing forward. And there's an amazing staff here that have such great resiliency and perseverance and strengths and, amazing lived experience. And they once received programming here. And so they share with me on a daily basis the need to keep the doors open and to keep fighting for what's right in making sure that our families who need the help the most receive the services and quality services, I might add, that are very unique. And so, yeah, it's super important that we continue to uplift one another and support one another and keep our values that have withstood the test of time, that our ancestors left here for us to thrive and continue to be good relatives to one another.
That's beautiful, really, and we support, and that's why we love having you on to be able to speak about this great work that's been going on for 40 years. And goodness knows, 40 years ago, the climate was a lot different, but still, 40 years later, we still need to have support from the community. And how can our listeners out there support and get more information about Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center here in Minneapolis in the Twin Cities?
For sure, by going to the website, miwrc.org, or on Facebook, all in caps, MIWRC. For live updates, we try to make sure we're posting, pictures and events and flyers. And then we also try to mirror that the best we can through the MIWRC website, miwrc.org. There are a couple different tabs on there, including events. And so there's also a donate tab where you can donate, and it comes directly to the organization here. We're so thankful for our many supporters throughout Indian country, also locally, the longtime donors who have stayed committed and dedicated to the mission, vision, and values of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center is so very important. And we have an amazing board who believes and wants to continue to keep the doors open and believes in everybody here at MIWRC. So it's a beautiful organization to be a part of, and it's hard to summarize it in just one sitting, but we just definitely hope that the community feels welcome to come to MIWRC. this coming Monday from 4 to 7 p.m. to celebrate. And we just hope to celebrate being in community and being able to help.
Yeah, bravo, and congratulations, and people out there, please check in with Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center and all the great work they do, and also really a plea out there and a work of action, people listening out there to donate to this great organization. And we're just so happy that Ruth Buffalo's here in the Twin Cities, leading the way and doing it in a good way with the past history and keeping things going the way they are going. So again, Ruth, really, it's our pleasure so much to have you on every Tuesdays and talk about your work.
It's a good odds. Thank you. It's a huge responsibility, but I'm super thankful to be here and to be a part of the healing that is taking place. You know, we have a staff of about 23 right now, and we're working to stabilize our foundation and stabilize funding, and eventually branch out, and to continue doing the good work of embracing and nurturing our loved ones, our unhoused relatives. We have, a traditional practitioner on site, traditional birthing, and we also have, family services that help keep families together. We have a lot of grandparents out there raising grandchildren. So we have ICWA kinship care workers, ICWA liaison to advocate in the courts for families. We have a learning center that helps sort of bridge the gap with knowledge between non-Native professionals and providers who work with our population, our American Indian population. We also have a Section 8 housing director, and we have sexual assault, domestic violence, and human trafficking services, to individuals who have experienced gender-based violence. And that program is called Nujamo, which means She Heals. And then we have the drop-in center that, serves our unhoused relatives who come in, get a warm shower, warm meal, some rest, and get connected to resources. And so we're working to, again, stabilize everything that we have, but also expand and continue strengthening our partnerships with community partners, but really just wanting to help and see our loved ones, our unhoused relatives, our families thrive, and be in a place where they can relax and breathe and just be whole, and so that healing component is at the heart, I believe, of everything that we do. And I'm just super thankful that we have selfless, good-hearted people on board that see the big picture and wanting to see our relatives, unhoused relatives, thrive. And so continuing to advocate on all fronts for of course, additional funding streams that come in, and, looking for more donors if they're out there who have, a surplus of funds that they want to give. This is the right place to give those funds to, because it'll be put to good use immediately where we have unmet needs, in the drop-in center, and we want to make sure we keep the doors open 7 generations ahead.
Wow, Ruth, thank you so much. You guys out there listening, please, Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, look it up. That's help support this great organization. Ruth Buffalo, Pinigigi, thank you so much for being on.
Madzigads, thank you.
We'll see you soon. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and up next, we're not sure yet. Oh, wow.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Hey, are you ready for a night of politics, delicious food, drinks, and great camaraderie? Then join us tonight at Crooner Supper Club for AM 950's presidential debate watching party. Tickets can now only be purchased at the door. Doors open at 6 p.m., so grab your friends and get ready for an unforgettable evening. We'll kick things off with a live broadcast from 7 to 8 p.m. hosted by the one and only Matt McNeil and other AM 950 personalities. You won't want to miss their takes and audience banter. Then at 8 o'clock, it's game time. Watch Kamala Harris go head-to-head with Donald Trump in a debate sure to have everyone talking. Join fellow progressives, AM 950 staff, and hosts for a night seeing Donald Trump debate Kamala Harris. We've got pizza, light snacks, a cash bar, and debate bingo to keep the fun rolling all night long. Tickets are just $25, including food and a front row seat to the action. Don't miss the chance to see Kamala Harris take on convicted felon Donald Trump and his MAGA crew. Again, that's our presidential debate watching party taking place tonight at 6 o'clock at Crooner Supper Club. Tickets can now only be purchased at the door. Find details at am950radio.com.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Are you remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
Fall means back to school, and hands down the best vehicle for the family is the Toyota Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota. It hauls everything in comfort. Lots of kids? Check. Mountains of sports gear? Check. A band's worth of musical instruments? Check. Multiple science projects and schoolwork? Check. And the Sienna Hybrid gets you fantastic mileage, and it's the safest vehicle I've ever driven, something I will brag about for the rest of my life. The Toyota Sienna is the perfect Minnesota family vehicle. Test drive one today at Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of Minneapolis on 394.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 63, then Wednesday sunshine with a high of 85. Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood bar and restaurant at 26th and Lindale in Minneapolis. Come in for the famous Nightingale burger or the ginger tamari chicken wings. View their menu or place a takeout order at nightingalempls.com.
AM 950 KTN up, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Development Institute, or NACD, with Make Voting a Tradition.
Hey, we are here with our friend, and I'm not going to say senator or state senator. I'm going to say Representative Heather Keeler. Thank you so much for being on here. I'll straighten everything out here. Our killer dog, was attacking her on the way in here, so she wanted attention, and now we're settling down here. Welcome to the Jefferson Avenue studio. It's a little overwhelming in here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's wonderful. Glad to be here. Yeah. What I'm really excited for is to see what's in the old studio though after we're done.
Oh yeah, definitely the twins room, and I had to move everything out, and that was hundreds and hundreds of books, if you remember. And they're not all in here. They're downstairs, and Half Price Books got a lot of good books too.
Really. I think that's what happens, though, in the generational shift, right? Like your books move out of the way and then you welcome a next generation. So congratulations.
Yeah.
They look absolutely beautiful. And I can't wait to meet them. I was just telling Wendy, if you need any help with those, cuddles, know who to call.
It was funny too, and I know we want to talk about other things, but I came home last night and I was telling you this, that Wendy was thinking it was like noon and it was 4 in the afternoon because the two kids were like
Just
using
busy.
up her time, I guess.
You guys are so lucky to be able to be close and love on them like that, for sure.
Well, and then your experience too, and I forget this until we start talking about babies, is that you really, before you became a representative, but also during your representative, you have fostered little babies.
Yeah, I'm a licensed ICWA mom.
Wow.
And almost 20 children in my home, mostly babies. I don't really do long term. I really do that respite care, about 10 days, mostly right out of the hospital, love on them out of the hospital while their families can get their life situated and ready for a baby in their home. And so something I really feel called to do, love to cuddle babies, but also just going into it with a mind frame of family preservation and, how you lean in and love families in moments of crisis and support. And if you can take care of their little ones in that time in a good way, and really pray for them and hope for them to find their path back to a healthy family, is what I've done. And I've stayed licensed as I've been doing this work because I didn't want to give up the most wonderful parts of my life to do this job. I wanted to bring the most wonderful parts of my life into the work. I think that's why I was able to do what I did around MIFPA in the way that we were able to do it. I know there's been times that I've been in meetings like holding newborns because they get a call in at the night and you pick them up the next morning.
I don't remember where it was. If we were talking about reviving the Sunday night symposium someday. I don't think it was that. You were a representative and all of a sudden it was like you had a baby, like a newborn baby with you.
Yeah, I've kind of said to people, don't be surprised, if I show up in places or in meetings, because it's happened numerous times.
Absolutely. Well, Heather, it's good. It's really good. And I think in my experience, at least political experience, the other side doesn't seem to have this vast, I want to say knowledge, but a vast living experience that we do as BIPOC people, but also Native people and Democratic people.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a party, we have a wide spread of individuals and perspectives and lives and experiences. It's one of the things that really, the reason why I lean into the Democratic Party is we are broad and welcoming, and we don't always do it right. And we argue a lot internally, but at least we're trying to challenge each other to be better. I say growing pains are painful.
Yeah.
For us to get in a good way together, it can be tough, but we do really lean into that. We try to see all of us. If you just look at the representation, if you've ever been to the House floor, it's so interesting to see, right? Like you look at their side and you look at our side. Good humans, on both, but very different life experiences, and not just culturally. But also we have teachers. I was a liaison. We have a flight attendant. We have social workers. It's a really unique spread of individuals professionally too. Single moms, single parents. It's a wonderful reflection of really who we are.
It is. I forgot about the flight attendant,
Kayla Berg.
Yeah, and she's awesome. And again, not only is she a flight attendant, but she was really involved with unions before she became a representative. I remember her really well, or very well, back before she became a representative. So I smile on my face when you said flight attendant because I knew exactly who you meant.
Yeah.
Well, I like how you said you lean into the Democratic Party as opposed to maybe buy in the whole way. And I know as being progressive, we come from a big, not platform, but we have a lot of people that are around the table, as like you were saying. And I like that terminology because I, as an older person, have not become a one-issue voter. And I've really expanded on that because I look at the big picture and have seen the big picture. I used to burn bridges with a fire laser beam and stuff, and now I don't. Now I try to build bridges, and that, I don't know if age or maturity or a combination of both have really helped me do that. But I think that's kind of what we're talking about when we lean into the Democratic Party, right?
Yeah, I think too, one thing I learned in conversation out in community, especially with my elders, we really have to remember that this structure,
Mhm.
right, the white government, is the structure that has actively been trying to dissolve us as Indigenous
Absolutely.
people. And so for me, it's a really hard line to walk
Mhm.
because I'm true to who I am as an Indigenous person. I believe in the work that I do and bring light to that. Every day I fight for sovereignty. And I lean into the Democratic Party
Mhm.
because I really believe they're the party that can see us and help us into this space of healing and reconciliation that we need. But at the end of the day, I'm an enrolled member of a federally recognized tribe. Both of my parents come from federally recognized tribes, and there's a history that I cannot deny in that
Mhm.
space. And so I think it's kind of my statement to myself and my elders and generations before me that, no matter what, I'm always Indigenous first.
Wow, I'm just sitting here going, this is really an awesome segment. It's always great to have you on here, and again, you're one of the best guest hosts I've ever had.
Heard that, yeah. Not just for me. Yeah, see, right?
Oh,
I know,
Wanda
here we go.
agrees. Wanda agrees. See, there's two, and I'm sure Wendy does out there too.
Mm.
Yeah, it being native first, but also, I guess what I want to ask you too, or maybe just make a statement and have you, we can discuss that. Is I really feel like we can push the Democratic Party to be more progressive, but there's no way in heck we could to the MAGA right. They're so tunnel visioned, and they're into property and we're into people, kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a complex topic, right?
Yeah.
Like how we do this and how we push things. And I think, I've challenged my party and my colleagues since the day I got elected,
Mhm.
really even before I was sworn in with line 3.
Yeah.
I think that there's kind of always been this ability to show up and challenge each other. And I think of it as like a team, like I was an athlete, my son's an athlete. We've talked a lot about that, right?
I didn't know
But
you
it's
were
like,
an athlete.
you bring different strengths to the table.
Mhm.
And the point is that we have to like challenge each other and you push each other to be better and grow in spaces. And I think as the person that I am sitting at the tables that I'm at, it's my job to like challenge our own party to do
Mhm.
that. Maybe isn't always the most graceful, but also like it's not designed to be graceful.
Right.
It's really designed to like challenge them and grow. But you're right. I'm not sure that the other party as a whole really believes in some of the things we believe in. I
Mhm.
will say though, I do have some pretty good relationships with our GOP colleagues to
That's
be able
good.
to move things in bipartisan ways. Reflecting on MIFBA, that was a wonderful green board. Worked across the aisle to do that. Have really worked recently in the attendance committee to understand that
Mm.
rising, something that's really
Yeah.
important for our students that impacts attendance for Native students, and having individuals across the aisle really lean into looking into that. And so I don't want the message to always be
Right.
like one party against the other. I do want to pause and highlight that there is bipartisanship in some of the efforts, but it takes so much education,
Oh,
right? And
and-
like so much push where I feel like, our Democratic Party is just already there. We're already in those relationships. We're already showing up. We're already carrying the legislation. We're already having those awesome relationships and really being in community with our tribal nations for sure.
Well,
For
I'm
sure
really,
difference.
I'm really glad you said that about the GOP, because I felt like that's the way it was, before 10 years ago.
Mhm.
It really was. You could, the old Indian saying, the left and the right wing are from the same bird,
Mhm. Mhm.
but it was more so then than now, the mega people. But I always think of you too, because of my other job, and I don't really like to talk about that here. I keep them separate. But when it comes to educating people about our plight, I always think of you, because that's got to be draining. That's got to be part of what you do at the legislative level. And that's just got to be draining. And you got to really protect your spirit.
Mhm. Mhm. It is. It's exhausting, but it's also like exhausting in the very best way.
Good.
It's like when you're doing the work that you're supposed to do, you might be tired, but you're doing it for the right reasons. And then there's those little nuggets of like wonderful outcomes every now and then. You come across the story with somebody, and there's a little girl who got to go to school and, heard a story about herself in the curriculum that maybe wouldn't have ever happened before.
Right.
Or, we had kids who were able to graduate and wear their eagle feathers without any disruption,
Mhm.
because of things that we've passed. There's just a lot of those things that we're able to see in the works that actually then refuel us to continue to go do the work. But also, I know it's really heavy campaign season and we're all in that mind frame, but, being really intentional to stay connected to our roots, going back to the circle, going to powwows, being around the drum. I know you guys came out to a couple of them this summer and met up north. And so making sure that we make space for that is how we do the long-term work that seems so exhausting sometimes.
Yeah, it does. And some of my work too, we refuse to educate, and we refuse to give the old hey, should we do a land acknowledgement? And it's like, we've talked about that over the years. It's like, no, the land acknowledgement is for you, not for us. We know what land we're on.
It's also like you got to take it a step further. It's land acknowledgements and actions.
Yeah,
you got to do more than that.
Absolutely. Hey, we're here, State Representative Heather Keeler, and we are jamming here. We got another segment, and this is Native Roots Radio. We'll be right back. Hoa.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
Hi, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. If you need new windows for your home or business, I highly recommend 952 Windows. They offer windows and doors with the longest warranties and Energy Star's #1 most efficient ratings. I can personally vouch for them, having known the owner for decades. They did a fantastic job on our second floor addition 20 years ago, installing windows, roofing, siding, and even adding a master bedroom and bathroom. 952 Windows is part of Loyal Home, founded by some of the Ethics Award-winning former Window Light employees. In my opinion, they're one of the most best-kept secrets in remodeling. As Onyx Bath and Rosebud cabinet dealers, 952 Windows guarantees top-quality products. Most of their business comes from referrals, so much so that they have been called the best-kept secret in remodeling by their competitors. For unbeatable deals and trusted service on windows, doors, roofing, siding, kitchens, bathrooms, and more, call 952 Windows or visit 952windows.com.
Hi, I'm Chuck Manette, owner of Native Concrete and Masonry. With concrete and masonry adding substantial value to your home, it's always a great idea to repair your sidewalks or just add a beautiful new patio. Cracks or heaving in your sidewalks due to tree roots can be dangerous. Native Concrete and Masonry has helped clients across the metro to make their outdoor space safer and helped increase the value to their homes. For patios, sidewalks, driveways, or garage slabs, go to nativeconcretemasonry.com.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Oh, I got to do it in studio.
Yeah, it's always good to have that three-part harmony, too, like we usually have with Wendy and Haley and I, but it's good to have you here, Heather, here at the Jefferson Avenue studio here in the state capital city of St. Paul.
Yeah, in studio room number 2.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's going on tonight. I know you have an event too, and I know we have an event, and I think Haley's sneaking off with you too. And Haley, make sure you get me an extra large T-shirt if they're handing them out. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, of course.
I don't have enough T-shirts, right? So what's going on? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think it is fun to notice that Haley's coming to hang out with me instead of you. Let's just make sure we get that on the record, right?
I don't get jelly.
Okay, it'll be
a little bit.
Yeah, we're heading over to Makwa Coffee. It's Jamie Becker Finn's coffee shop, Indigenous owned. I think that that's fantastic. And I always want to kind of make a plug, like we have so many Native-owned businesses just in general popping up places, coffee shops, stores, storefronts, things online, and really trying to encourage people to support our relatives in that way. And so it's cool that we're doing this event over there. There will be pizza, non-alcoholic drinks, I think, too, in a world that a lot of us live sober, making sure that when we do events like this, they are in sober spaces. And so I'm really grateful for that as well.
Yeah, and they're in Roseville, and there's a limited space. So if you're going to get over there, I'd leave right now.
Yeah. And there's an RSVP process. And I think there's only room for 50. So it's like.
Haley, did you get in?
Yeah. I did RSVP, and I saw that the poster was shared online to a group that got quite a bit of likes. So I don't know. Hopefully people got RSVP'd.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Get early, get that T-shirt.
And I think just get the T-shirt. Note to self,
extra
get
large.
the T-shirt. Yeah, but I think just being in community and in that space too. It's like, you watch these things at home, and that's good and it's fun, and it's different when you're around people. And I really hope that it's igniting, and we learn about our candidates with such a fast transition. We know about our governor, but there are still things on a national platform, right? That like it'll be interesting to see. Just what the topics are, from our candidate, and see how we roll out tonight. It'll be interesting, and I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome, and I think it's going to be a bloodbath. And what I want to pay attention to is how because the last debate, over 30 lies that Trump said. So I want to see how the media deals with that, because to me, the media, and I'm the media, but I mean the mass media, the corporate media, they've normalized this person so much that it's really sickening, and I want to see how they combat against that, because stop me.
Well, I think too, there's like the difference between fact checking and giving real news, and then having, opinions about politics. And I think that's the difference. I think leaning into the facts and understanding, what people say, in real time, and real impacts matter. And I think that's a little bit on us too. We can't be just so bamboozled by what somebody says on a screen one time and not really dig into things and, learn more ourselves. And that's what, some of these events are for, that we're learning. And that's why they have some of the top of the ticket, Democrats coming out and having conversations in spaces too, so that, we can learn and challenge and ask questions.
Awesome. I mean,
good point.
Really good points. I'm stunned here. I can't say anything. That was awesome, Heather. Yeah, I agree. And sometimes we need to hear that over and over again. I know that, again, I'm an emotional person, so I can really run crazy with the emotions about hearing things, and not be rational and talk to our relatives in a good way, because not everyone thinks the same way as I do or has the same experiences. And I think we were kind of talking about that the last segment, about our experiences really shape us and mold us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think no matter in any of the work that we do, especially as Native people, I say often we're the penny in the world, right? Because like, if you think about it, we're 1% of the nation. And if you break that down, right, like we think about how we treat the pennies in the world. And often, like we're just not counted. We're not thought about. And that sometimes is how we feel, I think, as Native people. We can scream about an issue collectively together, and it's still easy to overlook. And so I think what we have to do to build allyships is really lean into these slivers of commonality and likeness with each other. And, we can disagree on a lot of things, but slivers of commonality is actually the door for us to kind of make some change and build unique allyships in spaces. And so, as we really talk about politics, and it's polarized often, and like with these two candidates are so different, but I think when we break down state politics, local politics, we really have to be willing to have a bridge, like you were saying earlier, to have strong connections too for the ongoing work.
Wow. Yeah. Well, this is what I always like to say, especially with politicians, and I know it's not election season, or is it election season for you?
Pretty much feels like it. I'm getting elected in like November.
Oh, it is. Well, how can we? This has really flown by because the election's going to be in like 2 months, and
Yeah.
I'm like thinking 2 months in a year, and
No.
it's really right.
Mhm.
It's 2 months. How can our listeners out there, who we get all these great comments here on Facebook Live and YouTube, how can they support you?
Yeah, I think it's fun to remember like where I serve in my district. I'm District 4A Moorhead. So if you look at a Minnesota map, I'm the blue dot in a massively red sea. I'm really like the only blue dot in the House, meaning the only Democrat who holds a seat on the entire west side of the state of Minnesota, top to bottom, past St. Cloud. So, when I come to work, I'm not just a voice for my community in Moorhead, but I'm a voice for really the entire west side and greater Minnesota and our tribal nations for that whole side of the state. And so when I raise money in my campaign, it's to support me, but it's to support that voice. But also, I have a sister district that's up in Bemidji, which, if any of you know, like that's almost a 2.5-hour spread.
Yeah.
So I take time out of my week to go up there every week and really work with Red Lake, Leech Lake, White Earth, and Bemidji community to, work on helping their voice be heard as well. So when you donate to my campaign, that's the work that you're donating to. HeatherForHouse.com. It's Heather, the number 4, House. HeatherForHouse.com. You can sign up to volunteer. You can donate there. But also just sharing, our story and our message, I think is really important, because it's one thing to get out and vote now. It's one thing to get engaged now, but who are our future leaders going to be? Because, I think there was a real reality check when Jamie Becker-Finn announced her retirement.
Yeah.
And we realized like that's a huge hit for the Native American caucus and what we're able to do. And the reality is we need more of us on the ballot, because we just can't stay as long as some of our colleagues can. This works hard on us. But we have to have leaders here. So we're going to have some great events coming up and doing some awesome things. And so as we engage to vote this year, also engage to develop our future leaders as well.
That's awesome. And speaking of future leaders, next time you host the show here, I talked to Sam Strong a couple days ago, and
Yeah.
I'd love to have him on. And what a positive breath of fresh air he is as one of our tribal leaders here in the state of Minnesota. What a great guy. And be great to have him on. He always says, "Oh, I'll come on." I go, "You never respond to my email."
I'll get him on here.
I
Yeah.
know you will.
Me and Sam, Secretary Strong, have a really strong relationship. We've done a lot of work together working on their lake, getting their lake back. It's really important to understand the history of that. It's not just land back. It's so much more than that. So, yeah, I'll work on that for us for sure.
Right on. Hey, Big Peony Gigi, thank you, State Representative Heather Keeler. I did well, 2 segments, not
Yeah.
call you
You didn't do it.
governor or say senator. Or Hey, thank you so much, Big Peony Gigi, for being on. And as always, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Right on. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio. We're still here. We are the 7th generation.
And free Leonard Peltier.
Right now.
Now.
Ni